you are, peeps? Fab 5, good afternoon. This video is just to quickly give you a rundown of how to teach the spelling principle that's coming up on Wednesday, November 2nd. So hopefully this will be a way to better help you out instead of us having to model every other week. Or if you still need a model, let me know, but here you go. This is the document that I sent you last week. So I'm just going to walk through this principle on how I would teach it. Take notes, play this thing back as many times as you feel necessary, or ask me questions when something doesn't make sense. So here we go. So our principle is long vowel patterns. When there are two vowels together, they are often, oops, I already made an error. Shoot a monkey, take that off. When there are two vowels together, they often take the sound of the first vowel. Okay, so that is right. They often take the sound of the first vowel, which becomes long. And so the kids would write that. And so something I want you to notice is that I put EW in a different color because it's not two vowels, as you see. It has a consonant, the letter W. And that's okay because I'm going to explain that in a second. So the kids would write that down, and you'd explain that as you go along. You can just follow along with this thing right here. And so kids would write the word train. And like if you notice here on my second part, it says some letter combinations can also represent long vowel sounds. And so it's up to you if you want the kids to write this down. They still need to know that the letter W is a consonant, but you still want them writing that pattern. Why? Because it makes a long U sound. So again, if you remember last week, we have to go back and talk about what a consonant was and what a vowel was. Okay? Before you even start your class, you need to make sure that you review that again this upcoming week. So your question would be, what is a vowel? And the kids would tell you. And then what's the consonant? And the kids would tell you, give you some examples. And then you want to make sure that they can distinguish the difference between a long and a short vowel. That is what our kids were tripping up on last time. And so how we stated the long vowel was is it actually says the letters. So you have the vowels A, E, I, O, U. And so the A is long. So like a word that has A in there, the long A sound would be play. Okay, so you might want to go through that with your kids. And then you want to talk about what a short vowel sounds like. Okay, because at this point they should know what a short vowel is, being that our spelling principle from last week practiced that. So on this spelling principle, we're looking at the long vowels. So we have to make sure that you get the vowel concept under control. Hopefully you don't have any questions because I can't answer them right now. You have to go through this whole thing. Okay, let's keep going. So then you see the examples here, but before that, let me go back up here. You're just following the template here. You want to make sure that you go through this spelling principle and actually explain this part to kids. So here we go. When there are two vowels together, they often take the sound of the first vowel, which becomes long. And some word patterns or vowel patterns have AI, AY, which is an exception, EE, EA, OA, OW, which should be in another color, and I didn't color that, UE, and then UI. So you want to have kids and just this whole group or a partner, whatever, you want to have them come up with words that match these patterns. So like the example train, what do we notice? We have two vowels together. And what else do we notice? The word train takes the sound of the first vowel, which is long, A. Okay? And so that's how that's going to work, right? And so the examples, you don't have to have them write the examples. You could have them choose maybe one or two of the examples to write and then see what they notice. But you want to make sure that you talk through the examples so that the kids can understand the patterns. If they don't write all of these, that's fine, but there's enough examples on here where you need to talk through the examples to make sure the kids have it under control, especially with like the words that have a vowel and a consonant, like chew and toe. Okay, so like let's look at the word toe. What do we notice? We have an O and a W that matches our pattern, and so what's the vowel sound we hear? Long O. With chew, if you remember that exception, EU equals a U long sound. So this is not going to be Q long E, it's going to be a long U. So that's something to explain. And then you want to go through these other words to make sure that these kids have practice with that as well. Like the word book, we have two vowels, which matches our pattern. Okay, our vowels are O and A. Which sound is bossy? Which one does the walking and talking? Okay, it's the O. Each, long E. Week, long E. Clue, long U. Okay, remember Y is sometimes the exception. A, E, I, O, and U, and sometimes Y. That's why that's considered an exception. So once again, you want to make sure that you go through each one of these examples, and then you get the kids to come up with some examples after you've talked about this. So let me go through my little slide here and see before this. Some words will have an exception and have a vowel consonant pattern, such as you and night. You want to talk about that too. This one, we've already explained the pattern. With night, what do we hear? We have a vowel consonant, but we still have a long I sound. So again, we have to get the kids to understand that the English language is full of what we call exceptions. But you still want to teach it because you want to make sure that the kids know that pattern and understand why that word is spelled the way that it is. Before they get to choosing their spelling word, they need to come up with examples. So I'm writing that here, so that serves as a reminder. Come up with examples of this spelling pattern. Okay? So what are some other words that you can think of that match this pattern? This point, they really need to work with a partner or their group, and then you start contributing words, and then you write them down on the list. Now here's the difference between last week and then this week. On this week, I already have the words selected or written, like that document I sent you all last week. So you can have them write on their own, or I'm sorry, let me go back. You can actually have them choose the spelling words here, or you could have them come up with examples and then choose from there. In my opinion, it's easier to go with words that have already been generated. If you want to add to that list, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. But whatever's easier for your class. If they got words wrong from last week, if you remember, we have that words to learn list. So let's look at our 6 words here. We have sweet, grown, throat, train, reed, boastful, cloak, fruit, bruise, cruise, suitcase, and grease. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There are 12 words in total. Okay? So if they have 12 words in total, this says they choose 6. They still need to have a total of 10. So you have to decide if, are you going to have them choose 8 words and then the other 2 come from their spelling list or actually their words to learn? Are you going to have them choose 8 words and you're going to add in 2 words from the spelling bee list, the one that each student should have received by now? Or challenging words if you have GT or dual language? Or if you have SPED or resource, are you going to have them choose 4 words from this list and maybe 2 high frequency words? Either way, you decide what your kids get, okay? But at the end of the day, they need to have a certain number of words that match this pattern. And a good suggestion and idea would be once they write the spelling words down, they need to circle the pattern so that they see which words are the 2 vowels and then put a line over what vowel sound it should make. So like if I have my kids write these words down, I would have them circle the 2 vowels together and then put a line over the long vowel. So breathe. So when they see breathe, okay, I have my E and the A, and so E is the actual vowel sound it should make. Follow that rule. On throat, I'm going to circle my O and the A, and I'm going to put a line over O because that's the vowel sound it should make. The same thing for sweet, and the same thing for train, the same thing for boastful, on down to the end of the list. So hopefully that helps, and if you still have any questions, come by and see